So, good day, everyone. I'm gonna practice my English conversational skill today by using this website called ingu.com. I'm gonna click the word materials. As you can see, my accent. I'm not actually a native speaker, but I'm practicing my English using this website ingu.com. So there is a daily news here, and describing pictures and also conversation topics. But let's go ahead and let me click on the daily news. So I'm gonna read some article here. Maybe this one, boomers to Gen Z, talking about, I don't know, talking about generation. So yeah, there's a vocabulary here. So I'm gonna read this generation. So all of the people who were born at about the same time, regarded as a group, one stage or step in family's history. So in a sentence, Generation Z, it includes those born from 1997 to 2012, and then yeah, who grew up with smartphones and the internet, and then old-fashioned, having were based on a style type, etc. from the past. So you can call me old-fashioned, but I much prefer reading a regular book rather than one on a screen. Standard, a level of quality or a way of doing things that is considered acceptable. So we have strict quality control standards to make sure all our products are safe for our customers. Come of age. What does that mean? To reach the age when one is legally considered an adult. Okay, so my parents came of age at a time when buying a house was much more affordable. All right. Explosion. So by definition, a sudden increase in the amount or number of something. Okay. There's been an explosion of interest in learning Korean following the rise of K-pop. Okay. Adapt. To change something in order to make it suitable for a different situation or purpose. So she is finding it hard to adapt to her new school. So this is going to be the article that I'm going to read. So this one is a very, very short one. And then after that, there are questions here that I have to answer. So let me try and read this article. So boomers to Gen Z, talking about generation. So okay, boomer is used on social media when a younger person wants to call someone for an older generation than them, old fashioned. But where does this? But where? But where does it come from? And what do English speakers call other generations? After World War II, many countries had a big increase of children being born, also known as a baby boom, and people of this generation are called baby boomers. While there is no general agreement on when this or any generation begins or ends, Pew Research Center, which is used as a standard by many news organizations, says baby boomers are those born between 1946 and 1964. And then Generation X, or just Gen X, are those born from 1965 to 1980, according to Pew. So millennials are people born between 1981 and 1996. So Pew says members of this generation came of age during the explosion of the internet and had to adapt to things like social media while they were growing up and entering adulthood. So after millennials, we have Generation Z, also called Gen Z, which Pew describe as people born between 1997 and 2012. Unlike earlier generations, this group has never known a world without the internet, smartphones, and social media. They're also the generation that has started saying, okay, boomer, often using it for anyone age over 30 that they don't agree with. So the oldest Gen Z members are now adults, and the generation after them is Generation Alpha. They too will have their own opinions and new ideas, and might even say, okay, boomer, when they want to call a Gen Z old fashioned. Alright, so let me answer some questions. How did the baby boomer generation get its name? Well, I guess because after the World War II, there are many GIs or veterans veteran soldiers who went back home and then they had kids, a lot of kids. So that's why those kids, born in 1946, were being called as baby boomers. And then number two, when were millennials born? Well, millennials were born in the year 1981 to 1996, if I'm not mistaken. Number three, what generation started saying "Okay, boomer"? Okay, those generation who are saying "Okay, boomer" are the Gen Z. Yeah, the Gen Z. Okay, discussion. Which of the generations mentioned in the article had you heard of before? What? Which of the generations mentioned in the article had you heard of before? Well, I've heard about the Generation X, the baby boomers, millennials, and also the Gen Z. Okay, number two, how do you imagine your generation is viewed by younger generations? Well, I think I'm a millennial because I was born in the 1990, and yeah, I will be considered as myself as a millennial. But those people who are younger than me might call me as boomer, but I don't care. Number three, what are your first memories of the internet and social media? Well, that is a good question. Well, my first memory was actually, watching some YouTube videos in 2007. And I think that was the first time that I've used a computer watching some YouTube or yeah, music videos of Shania Twain on YouTube. And of course, I was also watching some porn on UGs. And number four, what would you say was the best thing about the age you grew up in? What? What would you say was the best thing about the age you grew up in? Well, the best thing, I guess, when there were no internet yet, we were, able to socialize much with my playmate kids. We were always outside playing, hide and seek. Um, I don't know how, when you run and then when you touch someone, I don't know how that is being called, but yeah, that's what we do. We also climb trees. So those were the days when I was a kid. There was no internet yet. So I think that was the best thing. And number five, if you could be born again at a different time, what period would you choose? Wow, that is a good question. So if I could be born again at a different time, what period would you choose? Well, I think I will be choosing the year 1960, I guess. Yeah, I will be choosing that year 1960 because the music were actually good and life back then was very simple. So I guess I will be choosing to be born in the 1960. And yeah, further discussion. So, in what ways would you say your personality has changed as you grew older? In what ways would you say your personality has changed as you grew older? Well, I discovered a lot of things as I grew up. And, you know, being an adult now is kind of a bit hard. And a lot of people are saying that it's much better to be, a kid rather than to be an adult because once you become an adult, there's a lot of problems that you will experience, and that is part of the responsibility being an adult. And yeah, number two, what were you like as a teenager? What were you like as a teenager? What were your hobbies and interests? Well, I was a gangster. I always fight on the street, and yeah, it was just a messed up kind of life, but it was uh, happy memory. I would consider it as a happy memory. What were my hobbies and interests? I don't have any interests or hobbies. I just watch anime sometimes. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I have. I know. Okay, number three. Are there any hobbies that you'd like to take up once you retire? Yes. I want to read some books, a lot of books, so I will be able to learn something even though I'm older. Yeah, I think it's pretty much cool, if you are reading a lot of books. Number four, in your opinion, what's the best thing about getting older? Wow, what is the best thing getting older? There's no best thing getting older, but it's a blessing, once you become older and once you reach maybe at the age of 70, 80, or 90 without without dying, by not dying too early. I think that is a blessing. I think that is the best thing. And also the learning process, the process of learning. Okay, five. Each generation imagine itself to be more intelligent than the one that went before it and wiser than the one that comes after it. George Orwell. What are your thoughts on this? What each generation imagines itself to be more intelligent than the one that went before it and wiser than the one that comes after it. Wow. Well, that is so subjective. You can think that you might be smarter than anyone, before, yeah, yeah, than the one that went before it, and also wiser than the one that comes after. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to express my thought, but yeah, that's my thought. All right, so that is our article about boomers to Gen Z. I think I have to practice a lot more. So I'm gonna be a guinea pig here, an experiment if I will be able to become a very fluent when it comes to speaking English. So that's all for today. Goodbye.